From WWL, the news, talk, and sports leader, this is Breaking News.
This is Dave Cohen as we begin our continuing coverage of a mass casualty event, as the city of New Orleans has labeled it. Sometime shortly before 4 o'clock this morning, New Orleans police and city officials confirmed that a vehicle drove into a crowd of people on Bourbon Street between Iberville and Canal. We have been able to confirm that at least 10 people are dead. The city reports 30 people have been injured and taken to area hospitals for treatment, but have not released many other details. We are trying to gather information as we speak and are awaiting a news conference from the New Orleans police and city officials to give us the very latest. But this has spiraled into what has been a lot of information out there that may or may not be correct, and reaction in the area to the incident that has included reports of gunfire from witness accounts in the area that followed the incident, where a driver plowed into, as one NOPD spokesperson put it, a group of people on Bourbon Street. There were then reports from eyewitnesses of possible gunfire. A nearby hotel was evacuated amid reports of a bomb threat around the same time. We have had restaurants and bars that have evacuated in the area. All of this happening over the last 2.5 hours or so, shortly after the fireworks were flying over the Mississippi River and the arrival of 2025. Let's go now live to the 8th District headquarters, where it appears that New Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell is beginning to speak.
First of all, we do know that the city of New Orleans was impacted by a terrorist attack. It's all still under investigation. You'll hear more after me. However, I have been in direct contact with the White House, with Governor Landry, and, of course, a unified command who is present here. What I'm asking at this time are prayers for those who have lost their lives in the city of New Orleans due to this tragedy.
WWL's Chris Miller is at the 8th District Police Headquarters, where we just heard that news conference. And, Chris, I guess we're walking away from this with a lot of new information, but also a lot of very important questions we do not have answers to.
Yes, we still don't have answers to a lot of the questions. As you mentioned, we did hear the mayor of New Orleans come out and describe it as a terrorist attack. The investigation is now being handled by the FBI. The FBI agent in charge did say that there were improvised explosive devices found. And that's about all we know at this point. They were not taking any questions. They said that they would have more to say later this morning. But you are right. We still have a lot of information that we're still looking for, like the disposition of the driver in this incident, and also more information about how many civilians may have been hurt in this. I can tell you that NOPD is making sure, or as sure as possible, that few people get through. Now, there are pedestrians walking through in the French Quarter, but down on Canal Street, there are lines and lines of police cars on the scene with their lights flashing, making sure that they're keeping as many bystanders away as possible. And so they have told the public to pretty much avoid Bourbon Street today, from Canal all the way down to St. Anne. But the chief was also very, intentional in letting us know that the rest of the city, they say they are keeping as safe as possible, and that people should go out and whatever plans they had for New Year's Day, as long as it doesn't involve the main part of Bourbon Street, go out and enjoy that.
We're talking with New Orleans City Councilman Eugene Green after a truck attack on Bourbon Street some 4 hours and 15 minutes ago. Very quickly, Councilman, you said that this individual will pay a very hefty price. Do you know if this individual is alive or dead, in custody or at large?
I do not. If he is dead, then he's already paid a heavy price. If he's alive, there's no way that after this investigation is concluded and the arrest is made that he won't pay a very heavy price. So I don't know if he's dead or alive. I'll know more a little bit later, just like all of us.
7:52, Dave Cohen, continuing coverage of the attack on pedestrians and police on Bourbon Street at 3:15 this morning. WWL TV's Leah McNeil joins us now live from Bourbon and Canal. And Leah, you have been hearing information about the suspect in this case. What can you tell us?
So right now we do know that the suspect is dead. this morning. We're still waiting more information from police about how this all happened. But we do know that, again, that suspect is dead this morning. I have been speaking to witnesses since about just after 3:30 when I first got here on scene. And many of them say that they just remember running for their lives after they saw a white pickup truck just plow through the crowds on Bourbon Street. One woman was really just feet away from getting hit by this car. She said that it was a lot less people than what it normally was because the celebrations were starting to wind down, but nonetheless, still quite a bit of people. And, of course, we now know that 10 people are dead and about 36 others are injured, including 2 officers that were shot after that suspect into the fire and shot at officers.
WWL's Chris Miller is in the French Quarter now. Chris, what are you seeing and hearing?
Dave, the sun's come up and people are moving about, getting their coffee or headed to places for breakfast and that sort of thing. I talked to a couple of people who are staying at the Astor Crown Plaza Hotel, which is right at the corner of Canal and Bourbon. And, they didn't find out about this till they got up and came downstairs in the morning. One of them said a grandchild had texted them. They apparently knew the location of their hotel better than they did, asking them if they were okay. And they said yes, and told me, we're not from town. We didn't even realize it was right outside our hotel until we got downstairs. Said it's a scary thing to find out after you wake up when you've come to town to celebrate the Sugar Bowl and the New Year. But they also told me that they don't worry about their safety going forward. They, see that the situation has been secured.
And I'm Dave Cohen, WWL First News, as we continue to learn more about the terror attack on Bourbon Street that happened around 3:15 this morning. WWL's Ian Ozan is with us now. And Ian, we have just gotten some new information from federal authorities.
That's right, Dave. The Federal Bureau of Investigation releasing a statement just a few minutes ago saying that they are now investigating this morning's attack on Bourbon Street as an act of terrorism, confirming that the FBI is the lead investigative agency on this case, though they are working with local partners in the New Orleans area. Again, earlier we heard in the press conference that the special agent in charge in the New Orleans field office, Elisa Duncan, said that it was not a terror attack, contradicting what we heard from NOPD Superintendent Ann Kirkpatrick and Mayor LaToya Cantrell. But now, according to an email that came in just a few moments ago, the FBI now investigating the Bourbon Street attack that left 10 people dead, 35 in the hospital, as an act of terrorism.
From WWL, the news, talk, and sports leader, this is Breaking News.
I'm Dave Cohen, WWL First News. In less than 2 hours, we expect to hear from the mayor of New Orleans, the police chief, and the FBI for the very latest on this breaking news story. Around 3:15 a.m., police say a man in a white pickup truck sped around the barricades on Bourbon Street at Canal, heading toward Iberville and running over people in his path. Hell-bent, they said he was, on killing people, and he killed at least 10 pedestrians and injured some 35 more. Police say then he pulled out a gun that witnesses described as an assault-type style rifle and started shooting. 2 police officers were wounded, and now police confirm that they returned fire, shooting and killing the suspect. The FBI is investigating what appeared to be improvised explosive devices found on the scene to verify if they were actually bombs or not. Joining us now is New Orleans City Councilman Joe Giarrusso.
My wife whispered to me before I came on that the victims who are hospitalized went from 25 to 35. So that shows you how much the story is changing. NOPD and their partners blew up a couple of devices. They don't know what they were. They were suspicious things in the French Quarter. I think safety and caution are the absolute words of the moment.
Joining us now is U.S. Senator Bill Cassidy.
The FBI is calling it a terrorist attack. And we can kind of guess why. They've got the suspect. They got the corpse at least. They got the truck. They have the possessions in the truck, and they have a license plate. And with that license plate, they can trace where it's been. And if you put that all together, they decided it was ideologically driven. That's incredibly significant, and that should guide everything we do from now on.
WWL's Chris Miller is at NOPD headquarters, where we are just learning now that this 11 a.m. news conference will not be happening at 11 a.m. Chris, what are you hearing?
That's right. I was informed by personnel here at NOPD headquarters on Poydras Street that they've pushed the news conference back to 1 p.m. this afternoon. So they will still be getting a lot of information together before they want to give it to the public. So it'll be another few hours before we hear the next official word from the authorities on this investigation.
NOLA.com has just pushed out an alert where they identify the suspect. The suspect accused of plowing a truck through a crowd on Bourbon Street is named Shamsud Din Jabbar. Shamsun Din Jabbar, according to a law enforcement source talking to the Times-Picayune and NOLA.com. The report says that he is 42 years old. Police shot and killed him during the attack. The source said he was carrying an ISIS flag in the truck. This may well explain why the FBI and the White House were so quick to label this a terrorist attack. If indeed this source, talking to the Times-Picayune, NOLA.com, is correct, and it was an ISIS flag that this individual was either flying on the truck or had in the truck, that would be an immediate indication of his affiliation or affinity for the terror organization ISIS. All right, we've heard from the President of the United States, Joe Biden. Let's hear what he had to say in an impromptu statement made it look like as he was boarding Air Force One a short time ago.
You've all got my statement. I'll have more to say in the next hour or so about what's going on in New Orleans. I'm happy to do that.
Do you understand? The FBI now says that 42-year-old Shamsud Din Jabbar then got out of that pickup truck with a long rifle with a suppressor and began shooting. Two cops who were racing to the scene as everybody else was running away from the scene were shot. Police fired back and killed 42-year-old U.S. citizen Shamsud Din Jabbar. In his truck, they found an ISIS flag, the terror organization ISIS. He was wearing body armor and decked out in camouflage. Orleans Parish Sheriff Susan Hudson spoke a few minutes ago. Let's listen to what she had to say.
Had people reach out to me about they're looking for their loved ones. They could be at a number of area hospitals. We put out on our social media about our victims unit, where family members can reach out to get resources and to find out information. And if you can't find your loved one at that particular hospital, reach out so we can try and help you find out where they're at. So we want to make sure people can check on their people and make sure their folks are safe.
Yes, and they're beginning the briefing right now, Dave.
All right, so we're going to bring you live to New Orleans Police Headquarters as we get the very latest now here on WWL. Let's go live to New Orleans Police Headquarters, where we expect to hear from the mayor, the NOPD, the FBI, and others, live on WWL New Orleans, WWL FM, and HD1 Kenner New Orleans. Do we have that feed?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alethea Duncan. I'm the Assistant Special Agent in charge here in FBI New Orleans. Thank you for being here today and for your patience. First, I want to acknowledge the victims of today's horrific attack.
New Orleans Police Department headquarters with state, local, and federal officials in the aftermath of the terror attack on Bourbon Street this morning. WWL's Chris Miller has been there. And, Chris, we just heard you at the very end of the news conference asking about the number of military police. So it looks like we're going to get a pretty good infusion of National Guard in New Orleans to assist NOPD, the FBI, state police, and others in making sure that the city is safe as they move forward with the postponed Sugar Bowl tomorrow.
Yes, Dave. The governor said it would be 100 military police from the Louisiana National Guard MP company that he has called up to come and help supplant or bolster the New Orleans police, Louisiana State Police, and FBI that you usually find in place for a big event like a Sugar Bowl.
Things got a little contentious there between the governor and some of the reporters asking questions, but we did learn a lot despite that throughout this. I think first and foremost was when we heard from FBI Special Agent in Charge Alethea Duncan when she said, "We do not believe that 42-year-old Shamsa Din Jabbar worked alone. And then we heard multiple of the speakers refer to other suspects who are out there, other bad guys, other people who they described as evil. Short on details, but that a very important development at today's news conference.
Yes, and the authorities didn't want to give us a whole lot of details into why they believe that there may be more suspects out there. Just asking people that anyone who might have had contact with the known suspect, Jabbar, if they could get in touch with them, because, you know, anything they say could provide them a lead or even a break to help them determine who else, if anyone else is out there, where they are, and, you know, things of that nature.
Chris, what else stood out to you from what we just heard from authorities here in the 1 o'clock hour, less than 12 hours after 42-year-old Shamsa Din Jabbar, a U.S. citizen from Texas, drove what appeared to be a rented pickup truck into the crowd on Bourbon Street, killing 10 people, wounding some 35 more. There are reports that additional victims have died in the hospital, but NOPD unable to confirm that for us just yet. What else stood out to you?
What stood out to me was NOPD did have a plan in place to effectively supplant the bollards that usually block off Bourbon Street that have not been functional. They said they had patrol cars parked across the street at the intersections, but that was defeated by Jabbar, who simply drove up on the sidewalk and drove around, which led to some questions about, well, then, why didn't you have the sidewalks blocked if this is such a sensitive area? And also Governor Landry saying that in the after-action reports on this, his office will be putting out what he called a permanent solution to that.
The Sugar Bowl game, a college football playoff game, which was supposed to be played today in New Orleans, has been postponed till tomorrow evening. Out of an abundance of caution, they are now going to play that game tomorrow, postponing it for 24 hours. As the chief said, one of the things they need time to do is they're doing a grid search of the exterior and the areas surrounding the Superdome with officers on foot looking for anything suspicious, as well as a grid of bomb-sniffing dogs going back and forth as well, looking for anything suspicious.
WWL First News. I'm Ian Ozan. The FBI says they suspect more people than just the driver in the New Year's Day attack on Bourbon Street. But when pressed for details why they think Shamsu Din Jabbar had co-conspirators, officials got testy. WWL's Chris Miller reports from New Orleans Police Headquarters.
It's a range of suspects, and right now with the FBI, we do not want to rule anything out.
FBI Special Agent in charge, Aletha Duncan, says they want anyone who had contact with Shamsa Din Jabbar to call 1-800-CALL-FBI. But when asked about why they think there are more people involved, Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry took the podium.
Why would we tell you that?
Landry said doing so could hurt the investigation.
Anything that would lead to impeding or endangering this investigation is not going to be said.
At NOPD headquarters, Chris Miller, WWL First News.
Authorities are reportedly trying to find 3 men and 1 woman captured on security video in the French Quarter, placing one of multiple suspected homemade bombs. Sugar Bowl officials are postponing the annual football game by 24 hours. The game, which is a college football playoff quarterfinal game, will now be played tomorrow night at 7:45. Governor Jeff Landry has signed an emergency declaration allowing the state to tap into federal security resources ahead of tomorrow's Sugar Bowl, next month's Super Bowl, and Mardi Gras. Immediately, 100 military policemen will be deployed to provide security in downtown.
The MPs will assist law enforcement already on the scene as they devote resources to investigating the incident on Bourbon Street, including a truck plowing into a crowd, the driver getting into a gunfight with police, and multiple homemade bombs found in the French Quarter.
It is important for our citizens and guests of this state to know that we are doing everything we can to secure their safety in this city.
In the aftermath of the terror attack, some New Orleans city officials are renewing calls to close Bourbon Street to vehicular traffic permanently.
We've always known that Bourbon Street is a soft target.
That's why New Orleans City Councilman at Large J.P. Murrow said he suggested banning cars from Bourbon Street in the past.
We took up an effort to try and look at turning Bourbon Street into a pedestrian mall and making vehicles not accessible on Bourbon Street at all.
According to Murrow, business owners on Bourbon Street objected. However, he says Wednesday's incident will force the city to reconsider who's allowed to access Bourbon Street and other tourist-centric parts of the Vieux Carré.
Substantial things are going to have to change with the way we deal with the French Quarter.
Ian Ozan, WWL First News.
Murrow says city leaders will hold hearings and conversations in the coming days and weeks to discuss ways to prevent another incident like this from ever happening again.